Hi there, welcome to Photoshop tutorials for digital painting. My name's Tane Richardson. Right now I'd really like to show you an extremely easy, quick way of adding a fair bit of sizzle and interest to your images. And most of the time the best way to add interest to a digital painting is a particular light source that draws in the eyes and it's really bright and it's quite interesting. So that's what we're going to simulate with the filter, the lighting effects filter. Right about now. Now, as a side note, before we do this, your image does have to be mixed down to a single layer. So you'll have to merge all your layers before we do this, because as with all filters in Photoshop, it'll only affect one layer. So as long as we've got our image selected in the layers panel, let's head over to filter, render, and lighting effects. Now this is going to add a light source, and for you maybe it's started on spot or infinite. They're both, you know, fairly cool, but let's head over to point. Let's start with the point light, because I find this is a pretty cool setting for having a fake sun in your image. If we take hold, click, drag it around, we can actually reposition the source of the light. So this is creating this really interesting sort of sun source in the image and not affecting the dark bits too badly, which is really cool. Over here on the right, we've got a bunch of settings. And look, to be honest, the only settings you're really going to want to use are the exposure setting, which turns it up super bright, or a little bit darker, which is good. We just want a little bit not too blown out, because that's just blowing out all the detail. That's ridiculous. We want to keep all the detail, but have a little bit of a light source in there as well. So let's turn about down to about there. The metallic and the gloss settings just sort of increase the contrast of areas around that light source, which is subtle, but you know, it's up to you. The ambient setting is also quite cool, because that sort of messes with the amount of light that's being put out all across the canvas. So if you put it down a little bit, you get a bit of a darkening around the edges and a bit more contrast around the edges, and you could put your exposure up a little bit more to compensate for that. And that would create a whole lot of interest with the light source already. And we can see the difference that it's made by even just ticking and unticking the preview box. So that was that before, and that's that now. And we've got a really interesting light source happening there. So depending on what you want to do, I mean, we could put the light source over here, we could put it behind the rock, put it over here. I mean, that's pretty cool. It all looks pretty cool to me, really. Maybe I'll put it behind the rock, because it kind of looks like the sun sitting behind the rock, and I kind of like that. So hitting OK, and we've got an interesting light source. It's a bit of a pop and sizzle effect. Looks good. Also really good for finishing touches on your photos and your digital paintings. That's about all I want to really tell you right now, and I hope you enjoy it. Hope you try it out for yourself on your own photos and stuff. And really thank you for watching this video, and just please comment and subscribe. If you have it in you, just you know, give us a comment, give us a bit of feedback down there on that ye old comments form. I really appreciate that. And the subscribe button is a really great thing to press right about now. As a side note, you can also support me on Patreon, which is a cool little site. It's a bit like Kickstarter, where you can basically support people who create content like myself. So there's a lot of people on there who create comics and, you know, and music and stuff. I'm really putting myself out there as a Photoshop tutorial maker, specifically for digital painting, because I find there's just not enough content out there for digital painting specifically. If you can please support me on Patreon, I'd love that, and I'd shout out your name in the video and say thanks to all you and your people and your friends and your blah 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 blah. But yeah, that's all there. This background music was graciously supplied by DJ Radio, and the song is called Night Song, and you can find DJ Radio on soundcloud.com/DJ-radio. Also, for more tutorials, free Photoshop brushes, awesome goodies, you can head on over to explodecreative.com.au. I'm going to be putting up a whole lot more stuff. And yeah, just thank you very much for being a part of it all, and I'll see you later on.